Hello, clan fans! We are finally at the day we were all dreading. Well, not quite the official day, but the time we were dreading where our beloved Outlander would reach its final season, and it has officially begun. Season 8 premiered on Friday, March 6th, and I can say I thoroughly enjoyed the episode, but at the same time, it is going to be a painful hit every episode I watch, knowing that it's coming to an end. So bear with me if I get emotional. I apologize in advance. I'm sure a lot of you will be emotional as well, but know that you are not alone in that. Yes, let us talk about the Season 8 premiere, which is called Soul of a Rebel. So this episode actually started in a place I was not expecting it to. I thought they were either going to be on their way home to Fraser's Ridge or they were going to be there already. But no, this actually started with Jamie and Claire in a secret hideout, and we have no idea what's going on. It looks like they are preparing to meet somebody, and it turns out they meet with a man, and Jamie is pretending to be a whiskey smuggler. And he's going by his alias Jamie Roy, which he did back in Scotland. And he is trying to get information out of this man who apparently had something to do with the death of Jane and Francis's family. And we learn that he did in fact kill, I believe he killed the sea captain. It was a lot to follow at first because I'm like, wait, where are we going with this storyline? And then he mentions that he threw the mother overboard. And yeah, that's just how Jane and Francis's lives just were thrown into chaos. While this man is detailing all of these horrific things he did to this family, Claire grabs a knife and she stabs this man because she believes that Jane and Francis's mother is in fact their daughter Faith. And it's really heartbreaking to learn if this in fact was Faith, that she died such a horrible death. Now, I feel like this is a red herring. I know there was a lot of debate after the season 7 finale because people weren't particularly happy with this. People thought, oh, okay, they're going too far with this, because it was never in the books. I think they wanted to make more of a connection with Jamie, Claire, and Francis because she does end up living with them on the ridge after she loses Jane. So I think they wanted to make that connection stronger by making her their potential granddaughter. If she truly, in fact, is, I think we don't 100% know this yet, and I am curious to see if we will delve more into it. I'm sure we will, but I'm curious to see how we delve more into this, because Claire does reflect later on, once they are done with the business of killing the man. They wonder, like, why Mother Hildegard or Master Raymond, like, would they have lied to Claire? It's so hard to piece together. I'm not sure where the writers are going with this, but it'll be interesting to see what they come up with. If we do lean into the fact that this was, in fact, their daughter Faith, it is sad to learn, like I said, that she died such a horrible death. And it is really tough for Claire to accept that. But not just that, but also that she had to live a life without them. Claire had to go through the same thing, where she lost her parents at a young age, and she also had to learn how to live without them. And Jamie points out that even if that was the case, Claire eventually did find her home, especially with Jamie. So there's hope that Faith also found the same thing with her family. Yeah, I think that was very touching, but at the same time, I just feel like this is a red herring. So I am sticking to that. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I am curious. I also forgot to mention the name of the man at the beginning who's explaining how he killed the sea captain and his wife. That, I believe, was Mr. Velasquez. I believe that is what Jamie said. I wrote it down. I think I heard that right. I apologize if that is false information, but yes, that man is a POS, and I am glad he did not stick around for too long. It's also interesting because Claire has done a 180 here. She used to be afraid to harm people, like at the beginning of Outlander and after she took an oath when she became a doctor to do no harm, but she had no hesitation with this one. And I think at this point, she's throwing caution to the wind. She's like, nope, you know what, my theory didn't work, so I'm done. Let me be a part of this century. Let me be a part of the freedom of doing what you please, and she did what she pleased. She did what the man deserved, but it's quite an interesting character development for Claire, and I know people used to hate that she saved that man that she was being attacked by in season 3, which, yeah, to be fair, she did kind of do that didn't she do that in the book? Huh. Maybe not. No, I'm making that up. She was attacked, but she didn't try to save him. It's a tough situation because they were trying to make a point with Claire that she was in her time and she made an oath, but she kind of forgot what it was to be in the 18th century, and unfortunately, you had to do what you had to do to survive. It was not a pretty time. But now it seems she has officially, like, developed that mantra, and she will do what she needs to protect her family and to avenge those that she has lost. Now, continuing the story, Jamie and Claire ponder whether to tell Frances or not that she is their granddaughter, but they believe it is best to wait because they don't think it's going to be an easy thing for them to explain, because even they can't really explain it to themselves, which, yeah, I can kind of understand that. And they also honestly don't know the 100% truth of this yet, so it makes sense to not tell her yet. But while they're talking, apparently there are some eavesdroppers, and we get to see Marsley and Fergus's children again. And of course, we get to see Marsley and Fergus again, which is awesome. We haven't seen them since season 6, which is, you know, you wouldn't think it would be that long, but because season 2 is split, wow, season 2? What? No. Because season 7. Sorry, I'm flustered right now with all this information. Because season 7 was split into 2 parts and it took 2 years for it to premiere, and there's the Droughtlander. We didn't see them for a while. So it was such a breath of fresh air to see them again. They are going to have a difficult storyline in this season, which we have seen from the trailers, and if you read the books, you know something tragic is going to happen. I want to say there's a possibility they will change who it happens to, which doesn't make it any better, but I get the feeling they are going to fully go along with that storyline from the book because of the clues that we saw in the trailer. If you watch the trailers, you see the moment when Fergus breaks through to one of the rooms and the building's on fire, and you see 2 of the children and they are huddled together in the same room, and it's not looking good because there is a tragic moment that happens not too long after that. And we can tell by Marsley having a meltdown in one of the small snippets that they show, it's not looking good. So prepare to have your hearts broken this season. Something we must endure, unfortunately. I wish they could change some things, but maybe they will. Let's hope. Anyway, it was nice to see the family in this episode being happy, having their grandparents there visiting, and they're also getting to know Fanny as well. Everybody's enjoying each other's company, and it's just so wonderful to see Marsley and Fergus again with Jamie and Claire. And Fergus actually shows Jamie his print shop. However, Fergus is actually doing a little side business there with seditious acts. And he is hiding some paperwork behind a wall. Jamie finds it, and Jamie points out, you know, this is not a good thing. It is, like, basically going against the crown, and they will come after you for it, especially during war times. But Fergus, he doesn't care. He thinks that this is worth doing. He doesn't care if he dies for it. And I'm thinking in my head, you idiot. You have a family. Even Jamie points this out. You have a family. Maybe something happens to you and you don't care, but what about your family? What if something happens to them? Fergus doesn't always reason in here. I believe that is what is going to lead to the tragic moment that's about to happen somewhere down the road in season 8. Jamie, Claire, and Frances make their way to Fraser's Ridge, and Frances is actually really excited to see her new home, and this is the first time she's actually had a home since she lost her family. And of course, after losing her sister, it's a nice thing for her because she really went through a tough time in the season 7 finale. And it's nice that Jamie and Claire have taken her in because they truly do take care of their own, and they, of course, thinking that Frances is their granddaughter, they are going to take especially good care of her. And it's hard to know if it's true, but in the moment it does kind of feel like a family reunion, and it's sweet. Along the way they meet Ian, and they learn that the house is all ready, so they go to see it. He has built it to their specifications. He had help with everybody from the Ridge, and it's stunning. It's not finished, so there are going to be some rooms that come together a little more throughout the season, but it's just great to see a new home for them. And we get to see Rachel, and she's coming along with her pregnancy, so she and Ian are going to have a little bairn soon. And it's just also nice to see Jamie and Claire reuniting with the residents. Like, we get to see them meet up with Amy McCollum, who is now remarried, and she has her 2 children with her. It sounds like there's another plot thing that's going to happen with Amy. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to spoil it for myself. If you want to say what it is in the comments, you can. But I get the feeling it has something to do with a bear. And we already went through the bear thing in season 4, so I don't know what it means. Anyway, they meet up with Mr. Crombie, who now has a trading business, and he is also partnered up with a certain Captain Cunningham, and I am starting to learn about him from the books. And he's an interesting character because he actually served the king, the British king, in the war. And Jamie is he's not fond of hearing that when he does. But Cunningham says that he's glad to be done with the war, and it does terrible things to people. So he, like, admits he's probably not proud of what he's had to do. And it sounds like he wants to settle and just start a life for himself in this new world. The question is, if war is going to continue until the 1780s, is Cunningham going to be asked to return to his position? We will see. Another resident that the Frasers meet up with again is Lizzie, and they are getting acquainted with her daughter, who is named after Claire, which is so sweet. And she's also brought them bees, which we have seen also in the trailer and in the promos, and it'll be interesting because Jamie actually says the meaning of the bees, which I don't know if that's from the book Go Tell the Bees I'm Gone. It could be reference, I'm not sure. But he tells Claire that bees are like messengers, basically, or connection to the spirit world. And if you tell them certain things, then they will be offended. Which, fair. But while they're talking, a certain family shows up, and we get to see the MacKenzies return to the Ridge. And it's so sweet because Jamie and Claire not only get to reunite with Brianna, Roger, and Jeremiah, but they get to meet Mandy all grown up, and it's so sweet. You know, I will say, I thought I was going to cry in this moment, but it happened in the middle of the episode, so I think it didn't have as much of an emotional impact as I thought it was going to. But I did tear up, of course, when Brianna and Claire were reuniting, because they just have that beautiful bond. Of course, Bree getting to reunite with her father was also very sweet, especially after they had one of the hardest goodbyes last season. But yes, they are all back, and they are getting reacquainted with each other, and I loved the part where they actually brought not only Mandy's doll, which kind of stands out just a little bit, but they brought Brianna's favorite book when she was young, Goodnight Moon, and this is actually something that Claire mentioned to Jamie back in season 3, and it's honestly so cute when Jamie reads from the book, and just this moment is so sweet and special. But yes, they also brought a few other books, including a new medical book for Claire, and Jamie actually gets a copy of Lord of the Rings, which I was not expecting. I don't know why originally I thought it was going to say Lord of the Flies. I'm like, why would you bring him that? But Lord of the Rings makes more sense. That was sweet, and they also brought Frank's book, which apparently wasn't published until after not only Claire left, but Brianna left, because it was something that Frank had been working on right before his death. So how they didn't know about it going into the publishing house, I don't know. I would think they would have been informed, but maybe Frank told them not to tell anybody. I don't know. I also should mention that one quote that made it from the book is Roger yelling, "Hello, the house," when they return, and I know everybody was really excited for that line, so I'm glad that they actually included it. Jamie and Bree also catch each other up on a few things, so the MacKenzies tell Claire and Jamie about Rob Cameron, so he learns all about that, and Jamie wonders, should we be concerned if he knows when and where we are? And Bree thinks, like, even if he can time travel, wouldn't he have shown up by now? So I get the feeling this is foreshadowing something. I don't know if he time traveled in the book or not, but, you know, sometimes they change things in the show. And we didn't really get a full closure on that story, let's say. So I get the feeling he will show up at some point. It's going to be like a Bonnet subplot, I feel like. Bonnet lives on somehow in many ways. It'll be interesting to see if that storyline comes to a conclusion. And also, Brianna learns that William now knows that Jamie is his father, and Jamie says he didn't take it well, and Brianna says give him some time, which, you know, that is sound advice from somebody who herself needed some time when she learned Jamie was her father. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Jamie and William also like meet up again, and William's a little more accepting. I'm not sure how this goes in the story, but we'll have to see if the show comes up with a way to get them together and reconcile. And maybe, I don't know if William will become a resident of Fraser's Ridge, but if he at least accepts Jamie as his father, that's a start. We also have an interesting moment, apparently from the books, where a woman shows up at Fraser's Ridge at Jamie and Claire's house, and Mandy is outside on the porch, and the woman approaches her and asks for her father, but Mandy, not being of this time and being very young still, she doesn't know any better, and she says things that she shouldn't, and the woman gets really huffy and puffy with her, let's say. And when Mandy calls her a witch and that she should fly away on her broom, oh, Mrs. Cunningham, we will call her, gives poor Mandy a slap, which not great. Mandy was okay. She responded just like an owl that hurt, like she didn't cry or have like a meltdown or anything, but she's a very strong kid. But oh my god, this lady was so out of line. Thankfully, Jamie happened to see it right as it happened, and he gets mad at Mrs. Cunningham, and Claire as well, who approaches. And it turns out Mrs. Cunningham was dropping off something that Claire had requested that hadn't come in yet. So, yes. And this is, in fact, Captain Cunningham's mother, I believe. I believe that is what I've heard. Unless she's the wife, but I'm not, like I said, I'm not positive on some book details. But yes, she will be an interesting character because it sounds like she's a tough nut to crack, we'll say. So at least Jamie and Claire were there to defend Mandy when that happened. Yeah, there's always got to be some antagonistic character on the ridge, right? The last scene with Jamie and Claire in this episode is Jamie is reading Frank's book, and ooh, there was a freaky moment in this scene, where Jamie has just read and he turns to like the jacket where the information for Frank is. And as soon as he sees the picture of Frank, you hear Captain Randall's voice just suddenly play out, like in a memory that Jamie's having, and just for us to hear that voice again, that was creepy. We haven't heard that voice in a long time. Because, yeah, he died in season 3, which, right on. But yes, that was quite a surprise, I thought, and Jamie is also not entirely happy that Claire never mentioned that Frank looks somewhat like Captain Randall, which Claire did notice that originally, but she says that she actually didn't think about it afterwards because they were so different in personality that she never thought of them being the same, which I'm trying to remember in season 3 if she kind of had a slight... Yeah, she had an aversion to Frank when she was in the hospital. She actually, like, freaked out when she saw him again because she remembered Captain Randall. But maybe it was after that moment she didn't think about it because she got reacquainted with Frank. But yeah, that was interesting. Jamie wonders if he can trust Frank's word because he has learned something unfortunate in the book, and tells Claire that Fraser is mentioned in the book, and it mentions that the war will come to the backcountry. There will be a battle at King's Mountain, and that is where James Fraser will die. And we know this from the trailer, so it wasn't that shocking, but it's still not good. We don't know if this is true or not, because we don't know how the show's gonna end. It's supposed to be different from the books, apparently, so, like, once book 10 comes out, supposedly it's gonna have a different ending from whatever the show is doing. So, we cannot be spoiled. We will all learn this together, and we will like it. Apparently. I'm hoping he doesn't die. It could be that Frank Randall got James Fraser mixed up with another James Fraser. That has happened. Maybe it will be another thing also where Brianna thought Jamie and Claire died in a fire, and it turns out it was just a false story that was printed. I don't know. Anything goes right now, and it's scary. I don't want any of them to die. This is what I hate about final seasons. Like I said, anything goes. You don't know what's gonna happen. They could go any direction they want. And I'm gonna try to trust them with it. I don't want my heart to be broken too much this season, but there will be moments, but what can you do? Our last plot is William and Lord John. Now, William has been through it. He's not only learned that he's not who he thought he was, but he has lost his best friend, and now he learns that he has lost his cousin. I believe we met him in season 7, and he died off screen from He was captured by raiders, and he unfortunately got a fever while he was imprisoned, and he apparently had a wife and child, all off screen. We never knew about this. And William's not handling the death already. Like, that's bad enough. But then he learns about Lady Grey, and he immediately makes assumptions like, wait, I've never heard of this woman before. Where did she come from? Do we trust her word? This is suspicious. And he says, like, some really bad things about her. And she happens to overhear, and she barges in, and she basically tells him off. So they are not in a good standing already. Lord John later confronts William, who, again, dealing with his identity crisis. He's like, I don't know if I want to even, like, fight in the war anymore. I don't know if I want to be an earl anymore. And Lord John's like, you can't just throw away the title. Like, if you were to do that, you would have to become a traitor to the king. And William smiles at that, and it's like, no. You cannot just, no. Lord John tries to reason with him, but it's hard to say if he gets anywhere with him. One thing he does get through to him, though, is he tells William, you said some awful things to Lady Grey. You need to go apologize and make things right. Which she actually does. So William goes to find her in the garden, and she's with her child, and they are able to reconcile, and they also console each other on the loss of their cousin and husband. And William, like, officially gets to meet their baby, and he promises them that he will protect them. It feels like it's kind of like a second chance, I guess, he's getting, since he feels like he failed Jane and Francis. So he's hoping that this will be his chance to truly, like, follow up on his promise. Because that was another thing that was also bothering him. He felt bad about Jane after what she had gone through and not being able to help her. Yeah, that was a tough time for William, I will admit. He definitely had it last season. I don't know what's in store for him the rest of the season. Like I said, I hope he and Jamie get together and, like, he accepts him as his father. I think William will find his way, and maybe he will turn against the Redcoats. I don't know. That is just a guess, but I think he'll be fine eventually. It does seem like he and Lady Grey might have a little bit of a romance at some point. They seem to tease that in one of the photos, which, it's a tough spot because she was his cousin's wife, so it might be a little awkward in that situation. But I guess if they bring out the best in each other and they truly fall in love, then that's all that matters, and he'll be there for his cousin's son, which will be nice. So maybe this is a way he'll find a family. Hopefully I covered everything right, and I didn't mean to drone on a little bit at the beginning there, but I just find the plot very fascinating, and it's just such a curiosity, like, how this is all gonna go. Because, yes, how did Faith live? There are no easy ways to explain that. So it'll be interesting to see what they came up with. There's theories about Master Raymond, since he's a time traveler. Maybe he brought Faith to, like, a more current time, and he was able to help heal her. And then he brought her back to the past, which I don't know if the plan was to reunite Jamie and Claire with Faith, and maybe because they got separated and Jamie went to prison, maybe that's why Faith couldn't go back to them. Did I just stumble upon something? Huh, I haven't heard anybody mention that, actually. Like, maybe the plan was to reunite them, but they couldn't because they were torn apart, and then Jamie was not able to take a child in because he was imprisoned and hiding, all of that. So that's why Faith would have had to start a life of her own. Huh. But still, there's a lot of stuff that's going to be a little hard to believe about how that came to be. We'll find out. They'll explain it eventually. Right? Right? Please? One more thing I wanted to point out. I had a thought while I was watching the episode when Jamie and Claire were getting a tour of their new home, and we actually get to see it like room by room, and it also just kind of felt like we, the audience, were being welcomed back home for the first and last time, and it's going to be so emotional having to say goodbye to this show, because it has meant so much to me over the years. And yeah, see, I'm starting to get emotional now. But it has been an absolute joy and privilege getting to watch the show over the past 12 years. Not too many shows make it to season 8, and not too many can say that they had a great time making this and made family along the way. So the cast and crew have all been wonderful, and I'm gonna miss them all. But goodbye is not yet. We will get there eventually, but for now, let us start the season fresh and new, and we will take it one episode at a time as we say goodbye. But yes, tell me your thoughts on the premiere of season 8. Let me know what you think is going to happen in this season and how it's going to end. I know there are so many ways this could end because they filmed multiple different endings, mostly maybe so the cast wouldn't know. So let me know what you guys thought, and I will see you for episode 2. Before I go, I also want to say I'm hoping that I will get to finish a few projects before the season ends. I have a couple of art projects that I am hoping to do, as well as a costume project that I'm redoing. So hopefully I will get to share that along the way as well. But for now, enjoy this piece that I made at the beginning of this year, and I will see you very soon. Slanja.